Some while back, we had the privilege of interviewing David and Tricia King, and David talked in there about his first experience of going to a youth club, I think it was, at a church in the basement.
I ended up downstairs in a sort of a quite sort of decrepit type crypt type scenario at the basement of this Pentecostal.
We loved it. It was our youth.
Your youth den. They were lifting their hands and singing love songs to Jesus. I felt so uncomfortable. I was thinking, I'm never coming back. I absolutely deplore and hate this. And suddenly, the next thing I knew, my hands were in the air, higher than anyone else's, and I was singing at the top of my voice in a language I'd never learned. I just had visions of glory. Why does God do this? But, it was just so wonderful. Yeah. The intensity of God's love, the reality of His presence, and it was so supernatural. I was seeing into I could see like the new creation. I saw tangible. It wasn't like a picture. I was in it. It was real. I could hear sounds, and it's like my head was in heaven.
Yes.
And the funny thing was, my body was below me, which is an unusual thing to happen. I could look down and see like the top of my head when this happened. And it's like the world around me faded out. And the excellent thing is that wasn't the last time that happened, because I did at that point start going to church, because how could you not?
Yeah.
And
it happened for months, didn't it?
About 3 months that happened. For someone who just loved getting stoned on cannabis, this was my love language. I ended up going around to my friends and saying, "You forget the cannabis. You want the Holy Spirit." I was just overflowing with the amazement of that you could know God so supernaturally.
Yes.
And each Sunday, whenever the church would sometimes it would break into spontaneous singing in this unlearned language, a heavenly language. And whenever that happened, it would happen again. And I thought this happened to all Christians. I thought this was normal. And I thought I was just going to change the world. It was just so fantastic. And I think God had to do that for me, because I was so insecure that God had to sort of drive home, you really are accepted.
Yes.
I went along to the drug den where we used to. My friends were all there rolling their joints, and if I'm honest, I was wobbling, because you were sort of doing this inward conversation, like, well, just one, you know how it goes, and I don't I, and because I can't say I didn't enjoy that life. I did. I enjoyed my sin, and then God opened my eyes. It's not the last time it happened to me, but this was the first time, and without a word of a lie, not with my eyes shut or anything like that. It wasn't in my imagination. As I'm looking at you, God opened my eyes. As my friends were all sitting around in a circle smoking puffs of cannabis, I saw the room was full of demons, like tiers of demons. I could physically see around the room. And you'll never need to convince me not to take drugs again, because I saw behind what's involved. And anyone listening to this who just thinks in terms of, does cannabis hurt your lungs, or it spiritually opens the door to the demonic.
Yes.
And it's scary now, because in my youth, those who took drugs were the minority. Well, now you're the minority if you don't. And I just fear. I fear for this generation.